Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Karen Cecilia here. I had mentioned on my live um, briefly about the matter with the Jamaica Police Federation and Peter Bunting being their guest speaker and his performance there as a political hack. And I thought that I needed to expound on it just a little bit more because I'm not satisfied within myself that I said all that I needed to say. Jamaicans should be concerned about the outright blatant politicizing and further corrupting of our police force. This has been a long-standing matter Jamaicans have always expressed concern about, and blame our police force and our police women and men for how they behave and probably even how they treat citizens. But I want to put a different spin on this for all to understand, and I hope that this reaches the ears of many of our police men and women. Corporal James felt that he was unjustly fingered by the authorities when they set out on their investigations of him. I don't know why or what they were interdicting him about, because in my view, his remarks were within his right as an individual to freely express an opinion about how he feels about a particular matter. Not because he is the chairman of the Federation, he should be muzzled on his personal opinions. Not at all. He's entitled to express his views like all of us, without any fear of being targeted by the people with the power. And maybe, just maybe, his actions in terms of inviting Peter Bunting to the Federation's conference, was it, as guest speaker, in doing that, he may have inadvertently told us much more than we really should have wanted to know as to why they decided to interdict him. Maybe it was felt that he was corrupting the Federation through his politicking. I don't know. Maybe that. I don't know, but what he has done now could easily be construed as part of the problem, why he was publicly humiliated by this whole interdicting thing, he and the young woman that went with him. He himself, Corporal James, is an officer of our judicial system. He is. And therefore, he ought to trust that system because he's a part of that system. But he came out of this fight between him and the police commissioner's office that did the interdicting, feeling bruised and publicly humiliating. But I think that even though he was bruised and publicly intimidated, no fight that is just should be seen as a public humiliation. And to many, including me, his fight to prove them wrong was a just fight. But now, people can look at him and look what he has done in terms of inviting Bunting to this thing and begin to have second thoughts as whether it was just or not. I mean, it does look away. If you believe you're right, you should just fight. Just fight. Just fight for what you believe is right. And if you are right, you will always win. There's no two way about it. But during the fracas about his interdicting, it was widely spread across the country that Corporal James is a PMP. I heard it in PMP circles. Lots of PMP, big people, little people, medium people saying, yeah, them fireman James, yeah, James a PMP, you know. Now, a tribal PMP would feel good about that. Me? Never felt good about it. I've never felt good about somebody saying a policeman who with power and responsibility for ball out him a PMP. That has never felt right to me, ever. So that was going around. And there's nothing wrong with that, really, on the surface of it. There's nothing wrong with an officer or a member of the police force being a PMP or a JLP and say it, you know. Nothing wrong with that. Our culture regarding members of our armed forces to be non-political is not saying that they should not hold a political view. Not at all. They can hold a political view. If anything, it is quite accommodating for that kind of belief, and not to flaunt it, however, or use it use their political alignment to one party or the other to discriminate against any citizen. But they should have the right to say, yeah, I vote PMP, or I am a member of the PMP. That shouldn't interfere with their job, and that shouldn't in any way set them up for any kind of discrimination. All right. So I believe that kind of belief, and if it could easily be said, if anything, it is more accommodating, yeah, for police men and women to be working together from both political lines. I wouldn't want to come from the both political parties and them keep it to themselves most of the time. But there's no reason to flaunt it, and to use it as your political alignment to discriminate against any citizen or anyone for that matter. In other democracies, yeah, the police federations members are political. Most of them are, and it is clear all over the U.S., in Canada, in France, the police force are always, in some respect, political. They take sides and they align themselves, But the federation as an organization, that it distances itself from the political trap. And that's a right thing to do. Because you can't mix the two things. You can hold your political beliefs, you can hold your political alignment, but you can't corrupt the system that you are leading with that alignment and that belief. Mr. James's invitation to Peter Bunting to address their conference, I felt, was unprofessional and blatantly political. That's how I felt about it. And when Peter Bunting said the things that he said at the meeting, and how some people reacted to it, it tells me everything I know, everything I need to know about why Mr. James would do this. On the surface of it, it seems like a clapback from Mr. James to the forces who fired him and embarrassed him and humiliated him in public. It seemed that way. It seemed like a clapback. Yeah, I want to do me this. Watch me. I'm Bunting me invite to come be guest speaker because I'm a PMP and I'm going to invite him and Ray. It never looked good. This behavior is not who we are, Corporal James. It's not. It's not who you should be. And it's not a good example for you to set for your rank and file members. And if anything, it put a sour taste in the mouth of the Jamaican people in terms of how they view the police force and how they see you guys and how they relate to you guys. Because a majority of Jamaican people already think that the whole force corrupt, which is not true. But this kind of behavior, this kind of action just validate what they're thinking. In the first instance, in terms of inviting Bunting, it is clear that some of your members didn't like it, Mr. James. Some of the members didn't like it, and clearly there was no understanding or even training that even if you don't like something, you should just sit down and be quiet. Certainly in a setting like that, you would, you can fume and quietly sit down there and grumble under your breath, but you should just sit down and be quiet and then take it up with leadership when the event ends. That's what I think should have taken place. But you can't hold a position like chairman for the police federation and then do this, because that position does not allow you to clap back in a blatant political fashion. It is dangerous to do that. And the rank and file police officers must know that it is dangerous to do that. The leadership of the police force must know that it is dangerous to do that. And it seems to me that because Mr. James was interdicted, he felt that he have to do something to clap back in a dangerous, blatant political fashion, and it's dangerous. The people who come after you, the people who will take up the leadership of the federation after you are finished, Mr. James, they will have your record on which to guide them. They will have your words and your actions on record. This is how James behave. You know? Corporal James' invitation to Peter Bunting was to show that he has the power. To show probably the new police commissioner. To show probably government that he has the power. But more so, I think maybe it was also designed to frighten the government. Show him have some power. And maybe even throwing shades at the new commissioner. This is unacceptable. This is absolutely, totally, unequivocally unacceptable. These things cannot be condoned and cannot be big up and cannot be. It just don't look good. It's not good for morale. It's not good for credibility, which is already crap. It's unacceptable. Corporal James is the leader of the Federation, and he has a greater responsibility to the country than to his bruised ego, or is feeling to be one-upping somebody because they've been one-up him. Greater responsibility to the country and to the rank and file members that look to him for leadership. Because this action of inviting Bunting to the Federation to come chat up his mouth and do all that he said, it has the potential to divide the force and put targets on the backs of those who disagree with him, Corporal James. And we can't have that. Nah, we can't have that. We need our police force to be individually independent in their political views because it's their right and we live in a democracy. But we need them also to keep those views outside of their jobs and do not allow those views to negatively influence their responsibility to the citizens who both loathe them but also depend on them. Huh? It would be okay to invite a former minister of security, national security, to address your conference. It would be if that former minister is retired and doing some other non-political public duty or private duty, doing philanthropic work, doing charity, whatever, have some kind of non-governmental role as a retired former minister of national security. You could invite him, but you can't invite the guy who had the work before, and because it is part of your political belief and you know that he might look the work again, you invite him. That don't look good, Corporal James. That don't look good, brother. That don't look good. So if you're going to invite the guy who will look the work, then you should do the right thing and invite the guy who will have the work. Give two of them, give both of them a platform. You come in the morning, come say something, and you come in the afternoon, come say something. Give the members of the Federation present an opportunity to hear from both men. Balance. Because part of Corporal James's job is to create balance and unity and a playing field within the Federation where people feel like them can talk to each other without fear of being targeted and fear of being sidelined because of a view that they may express. I don't know. The couple of people that got Barlong Bunting, I don't know what come out of that. I don't know if that creates some kind of divide or mistrust among the rank and file in the Federation. Corporal James have a greater responsibility. You do, Corporal James. You have a greater responsibility than to start running the Federation like a grievance campaign to try and punish those who persecuted you. Because in that case, you'd be no better than them. To come get back your job, come back in the Federation, running the thing, and you're running some kind of grievance campaign. We are trying to punish the people who persecute you, which now make you just like them. You have to rise above that. You have to rise above that, Corporal James. You can't sit down in that seat. That seat is not a good seat where you're going to prolong some kind of grievance campaign and invite a dirty, unpatriotic, treacherous man like Peter Bunting to come speak to your rank and file members. And your rank and file members knows what he has done. Peter Bunting was a minister who spent most of his time gathering information on people that he considered to be political rivals. And he was there building enemies list and building file on people that he want to get out in political way. What's the matter with you, comrade? Well, that is true. But what's wrong with you, Corporal James? What's wrong with you? You can't be so blatantly playing into that kind of political genre. It's not good. It has that element to be destructive. You must have known, Mr. James, that your action to invite Bunting would have been seen as a deliberate and spiteful action to clap back at those who you feel have persecuted you. And I feel it for you. And I said I supported your action. I supported you then. Because it never seemed like something clear to me. You were just talking, expressing a view. But then you did this now. And that leaves new question in my mind. That maybe them know something that we the public don't know. As to why they felt they needed to do that interdicting. The police federation and the government have always been at loggerheads. From as far as I can remember and read newspaper. Every damn day my mother buy a newspaper and take it up at the front of the Gleaner is the police and the government, the teachers and the government, the junior doctors and the government. All of that. So they have always been at loggerheads with each other. Mostly, of course, over, compensation packages, benefits, working conditions, vehicle availability, working relationship with the citizenry. All of that. It's always been some kind of loggerhead between successive governments, PMP and JLP. It's a long-standing thing. But this action that Corporal James took to invite Peter Bunting to the conference, come tell the conference, but he must come back next year in a different capacity. Oh, Jesus, man. This is not that. This is not that at all. This is not a grandstanding power play. That's all that was. Peter Bunting has no scruples. Peter Bunting is a man who lost an internal race in the People's National Party. Lost the race, picked up his marbles, and decided to burn the place down because he lost. Fair and square. He lost fair and square, and for years he was in there undermining and betraying his party and his country. Betraying the leader of the party. Betraying the party, betraying his country, and not pay homage to him. He never get no homage. Then the man have a string about a road for school people pass and stone. For years he was in there, organizing and orchestrating for the PMP to lose the election. He has no scruples. And his scruples are so non-existent that he himself, who fancies himself to be some kind of clever chap, he should have been the one to say to the Federation, listen, I am the guy who look at the job now. I want to protect the Federation from this. Let us protect the Federation out of this political brouhaha. Let's not mix up the Federation into this. And if you're going to invite me, I think you all should invite the minister as well. He wasn't going to tell you that. He would not advise you that it was a bad idea to invite him and him alone. No. Him jump to the invite and then use it to score political cheap points without for one moment thinking how it would reflect on the force. Never thought about that. He was more interested in the limelight to score cheap political points. As him brethren, Mr. James invite him. And Mr. James vex about how them deal with him. I know him I get a chance to fling back something off of them. That's not good. That is not good. Bunting came, scored cheap political points, and never thought about how it would reflect on the force. Now is Uno one have to face that music. He never thought about that or considered the possibility that, it would have a negative impact on the force and on the country. A force that already have serious trust issues with the citizenry. No, he's fine with corrupting every institution that him can get him foot into to benefit himself. He's fine with that. Coming in there and corrupting, or add another layer of corruption to it. Because sometimes the corruption is also perceptive. It's a perceived corruption. There are JLP policemen and women, and they see him, and they know that James is a PMP, what am I going to think, Mr. James? What am I think? You isolate your forces, you isolate your people to buck up to Peter Bunting, who tell us I'm going to be Minister of National Security again. That's not good. That's not good. Everything that Peter Bunting done is to benefit himself, you know. Peter Bunting is not a patriotic Jamaican, you know. He doesn't think country first. He think Peter Bunting first. Peter Bunting money first. That's what he thinks. He doesn't think country first. That country don't mean nothing to him. The country is just something for him use. For get Peter Bunting to where Peter Bunting needs to be. And so, it is my humble view that the Federation needs to issue a public apology to the country for the remarks, primarily for the remarks made by Bunting, primarily for that, and to pledge to the country that we're going to do better in terms of inviting people to come to the meeting. Because once people come to the meeting, the media are going to cover it, and we're going to get some covering. We don't want to give a good impression to the people that we're supposed to be serving and protecting. I don't feel like we're going to serve and protect me, but people still feel that way. The country that we're going to serve and protect, we're not ever going to get a microphone and a film crew in front of us. We're supposed to give out that kind of positive vibes. Make the country feel good about, you being there. And you should not only issue an apology for Peter Bunting's classless, political, dunce move, but you should also talk about how you're going to move forward in the future to be better and to not allow yourselves to be used by politicians from either party. This is a bad precedent. Very bad precedent, Mr. James. Remember, Mr. James. Mr. James will not be there forever. One day he will leave, and the next guy or girl, whoever inherit the Federation or becomes the next chairman or chairwoman, will inherit whatever precedents that he has set. Oh yeah. We can't do that because James did do it. Remember the time when James did do that? Yeah, we could try that, no? Yeah, nothing about him, no? Nobody was saying nothing, no? So we could do it then, no? Bad, that's not good. Because the next person who comes after Mr. James and the next person after that will also become a political tool, and then eventually see themselves as servants of the people and the membership that you represent. It's not a good thing. So they should walk it back and give the country some kind of confidence in your leadership, Mr. James. Yeah, they did you wrong, but you shouldn't have done that. But no, you can walk it back and give the country, a little bit of confidence to say that you're the man leading this thing, and you intend to do it with integrity and honesty, and you intend to do it with character, and you intend to do it fairly, so that no citizen or no member of your federation would ever feel that you are doing anything against them and for you. It's important for people to feel, comfortable in their federation and comfortable with their bosses in the federation, knowing that you got each other's back. But this seems like a little sellout move to Bunting. And too many people in this country have sold out to Bunting. It's a corrupt practice, Mr. James. Don't fall into it, I beg of you. Don't fall into it. You should walk it back. You should issue a statement, assure the country of the fairness of the federation, and apologize for Bunting's comment. Because him can't apologize to nothing, The man's soul dark. Bunting, him have a dark soul. Him live in the devil's lair. And down there him live, him dark. There's no light in him. Nothing good. Don't come from every time he open me out. See him look these days? Yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening to me rant. Let us all support our police in their efforts to ensure law and order. Let us all in our communities build relationships with our police men and women across the country, in our communities. Continue to give them support. Earn their respect and they earn ours. for the good and betterment of our communities, for the betterment and the good of the future of our children, and for the good and benefit of Jamaica. Let us all ensure to do that. God bless you, everyone. Stay safe and keep the children safe.